As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams.
Jesus. Good morning, everybody. Yeah. We are back here, and oh Lord, we are talking about a very important topic this morning. And today you're gonna see me use my hands a lot, right? Because this topic is very close to my heart, because I see what I see, honestly speaking. So we are talking schools then and now. So I want you to just chat with us. Come on, subscribe, hit that bell, and then you will know what is happening on the Inside Show. So you are on the Inside Show with none other than Talk with Joan Thursdays. So we are so happy having you with us, and thank you so much for tuning in this morning. I would really love you to just talk to us. Put your comment down, and we will get to it if we can, if there's enough time, because we want to actually cover a lot of things on the show. And I know it is, we only have an hour to cover these things, but yeah, we're going to try and go into it. But while I'm going to ask the teachers and Lee to say hi to you and introduce themselves. I would really like you know how we roll on Talk with Joan. You know, we like to look into the mirror, you know. So come on now, take out your mirror, and we're going to ask the question. While you're going to think about it, I'm going to ask you the question. If you are made Minister of Education, right, what will you change in schools? Thank you. So let us go, Lee, if you can say hi.
Hello, Insights family. It is always good to be with you on a Thursday. Thanks for joining us today. We are speaking to teachers, so you have to sit up straight when you listen to this podcast. Please share far and wide. We would love to hear what you have to say. As for the question...
No, not yet.
Not for the question yet.
Not yet.
Sorry, I'm in a classroom. I'm being schooled right now.
Yeah.
So let's give our guests an opportunity just to greet and say hi and tell us a bit who they are or where they're from. We'd love that.
That's right.
Thanks for the opportunity, Joan, Lee. My name is Mark Petersen. I have been in education my whole life long.
Yes.
I just have 40 years under the belt,
Sure.
retired, and enjoying retirement. Not looking back, but enjoying
I can
retirement.
imagine.
But yes, thanks for the invite.
So it's safe to say you finally matriculated.
Finally
Yeah,
got out
yo.
of school, yes.
Yay. Goodness.
That is a good one. Mr. Chetty?
Right, good morning everyone. My name is Jerome Chetty, Joan and Leanne, Mr. Petersen, good morning. I haven't been in this profession as long as Mr. Petersen now. I've only started in 2010. However, the lessons that I've learned will probably equate to Mr. Petersen's experience. For me, it is a daunting experience. I joined for the only reason that the children cannot read.
Shucks.
Sure.
And I don't even want to delve deep into that, but it was so near to my house as well.
Yeah,
And then I thought,
I may as well.
this needs to be done.
Yeah.
So that's why I delved into this, and this is where I am. And when you see what is happening, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely so.
It's heartbreaking.
Absolutely. So yes, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Petersen, Mr. Chetty. Thank you for accepting our invitation here this morning.
Thank
We
you
are
for the
thrilled
invite.
having you here with us. Thank you very much, and I know that you're going to do justice to this topic because you are both in the profession. So yes, beloveds, if you're out there, I know you have your mirror out, and if you look into that mirror and you are made Minister of Education, what will you change in our system? So I don't know about you, Lee, what will you change?
If I look into the mirror and because it's an honest moment. And I think, you know, in everything you have to prepare. So there are two things that I would think would change. The first one is that I like the fact that teachers had a very strong code of conduct in a dress sense. You know, if you were a teacher back in the day, you had to dress a certain way, very respectful. Because you were looked up into the community. Teachers were very respected professions. So I think I would love to see a much better way of dressing for the teachers themselves. And the second thing, if I was minister, that was just a small and nothing.
Right.
But if I think as a minister, I would definitely increase I know teachers are always complaining about, you know, lower pay, but I would want a better quality teacher, so a more stringent criteria in order to be called a teacher. And even grade teachers, like, you know, junior level and then, you know, senior, tiered. And I'm not speaking as someone within the profession, so I don't know if that's, you know, if that's an exciting prospect for teachers. But I think that I would increase the capacity, not the capacity, I would increase the testing grounds for teacher, just so that we have a better quality teacher. It shouldn't be like something that happens by default. Like, oh, you couldn't do anything else in life, so become a teacher.
So became a teacher.
Yes, and I think that kind of can happen. So I would up the bar for teachers if I was minister. Minister Consalva says that.
Yeah. That's wonderful. So, Minister Hendricks, agree with you on the wages for teachers. I think I would change that too, and then I will actually bring respect back from you know, student to teacher.
Yeah.
And I think I would really honestly. Would deal very, very harshly when it comes to that, and I think that is the discipline in the students toward and the respect toward teachers. So I think I know it starts at home, but you know what? Those years, teachers were, as you said, highly respected.
Yeah.
And we looked up to them.
Yeah, they were
but
serious people.
and our parents taught us that, listen, you have to respect the elderly, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I will bring that back too. You know, I think I will bring back corporal punishment. I'm sure I will. If I'm a teacher, if I'm a minister, ek bring het môre terug.
Yeah, Joan, I think that's me. Discipline to me is it's of utmost importance. And as you say, teachers were revered because of the discipline they instilled. Children have just gone wayward. They've just have no regard and no respect for not just the educator in general. You take children in the community and there's just no respect. Whereas children then and children now, then you were taught to respect people.
Right.
You could not go and complain about your educator because
Right.
you would then get another hiding at home again.
Absolutely so.
And nowadays,
Yes.
you find the parent coming in to challenge the teacher.
Right.
And that is definitely something, if we could get the discipline right in schools, then we're going to have a better society, a better community, a better country.
Fully agree.
So to me, discipline is key, and I would definitely look at structures to bring discipline back. And being retired now, I would definitely also bring corporal punishment back. Definitely. Not to beat up a child, but the child must know there's consequences.
Absolutely.
If that does not happen, then
If you misbehave,
absolutely,
there's consequences.
Absolutely.
Every action.
It's
has a
actually interesting that
reaction.
both of you brought up corporal punishment because I think because of the length of time that you've been in the profession and that you've been an observer of the profession, one of the initial motivations were that corporal punishment doesn't produce what it was meant to produce. In other words, it wasn't effective. But now you can see the full spectrum. You can see in the absence.
Oh, yes,
You can see
ma'am.
in the absence of corporal punishment, it doesn't also produce what they wanted it to produce.
Yes.
And you can see in the absence what it has instead produced. Children with no fear, children with issues, all of that.
Can I just give you my take on that? You said we just speaking.
Yeah, we're talking.
Frankly,
Yeah.
man. I feel them removing corporal punishment from schools, from our schools, public schools. And if you look at your St. Stithians and your Randburg colleges,
right.
there's discipline.
Absolutely so.
You can't come
Yes.
to gym without
Yes.
your uniform. You
Yes.
can't do anything if you're not in the proper gear.
Yeah.
So the discipline is still installed there. So they're producing the CEOs. And what are we producing? Because they remove discipline from our schools. So here you have your pick it up students, you have your welders, and so where there's no discipline, there's no order.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality, I think, why they took it away, because there's your pick it up guys.
Yeah, because not all teachers abuse children.
We don't.
You know?
Yeah.
And
We
I
don't,
think,
like Mr. Petersen said, it's for discipline. It's not for,
yes.
do it, Marcus. No. So I think, honestly, they did that so they can produce the CEOs, and you well stocked of your plumbers and your...
So you're ready with the conspiracy theory, Mr. Chetty?
That's what I think, seriously.
Because
why remove
corporal punishment, but that's a corporal punishment aspect. It was removed from all schools. So even the schools that still have
But
discipline, they also
they-
can't
have-
corporal
they have a
punishment.
demerit system, I
You
think.
see.
Yeah. Oh, and you're saying that
We
public
have
schools
Yeah.
do not have
nothing,
any kind
nothing.
of...
It's your
And like Mr.
look-see.
Petersen said,
Yeah.
if you called a parent,
Yeah.
the parent would scold you
No, that is true in all schools.
in all schools.
But you were still giving us your minister.
Okay.
Minister Chetty, what would you change?
I would take everything that you guys mentioned
Yeah.
together. The corporal punishment is the biggest thing, because where there's no discipline, the people run amok.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this, Mr. Petersen will know. There's this thing that you can't fail twice in a phase. A phase is grade 1, 2, and 3, that's a phase.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6, that's another phase.
Yeah.
So if you failed in grade 1, you can't fail grade 2 or grade 3 again.
Yeah. Your foundation and your
So-
Intuition phase.
So
So
then you
hulle
have
sit
to go
hulle net
over.
deur.
They go over.
Yes.
And that is,
But
this
that's
is what
the
we're
product.
producing.
That's the
our
product we have, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
I would
product.
change that. I failed grade 9. There was no issue. They said you doing it over. You couldn't ask
So the rule is you can't phase
Fail twice.
any phase twice.
twice.
Okay.
So if you failed, let's say you 4, 5, and 6 now.
Yeah.
If you failed grade 4,
Yeah.
you can't fail 5 or 6. You have to go over.
Yeah.
So you're guaranteed of that. So who says you're going to work?
So the push-throughs are creating quite a bit of an
It's
issue.
that pass one, pass all. And that is what's
Yeah,
causing
no,
this.
that's-
This is why our kids are not learning.
So from-
because they
from-
know.
So let us go back and let's talk school. What is the curriculum in South Africa at the moment? Mr. Petersen, you were a principal. You said 19 years.
Yes, that's
You-
right, yeah.
I don't know how you. You hold on.
But you see, that's
But
what
I
you
can
were
say to
talking
you,
about. That's the
yet
calling.
you're holding
It
on.
is,
That's the calling,
Yet.
you see.
It's
The
a
passion.
calling. It's a now. Yeah,
That
we'll
is
get to
true.
the passion of teachers. But what would you say? What is the curriculum in South Africa at the moment? Because when I try to research, there's different curriculums that we actually used in the past. But what are we using at the moment?
Well, you see, a lot of the content of subjects is the same. What they have changed, it's how do they assess learners? That has changed a lot. I mean, schools then only had your exam system. We would, at the end of each term, you'd write a full-scale exam, you'd get a report. Whereas you have continuous assessment now. You have, throughout the year, you have not just assignments or small cast tests. All of that adds up to your final mark. And that was one of the major changes from then and now. It does help because at the end of the day, the children nowadays, if you work consistently throughout the year,
Right.
you then stand a better chance to progress.
Right.
Whereas with schools then if you had failed, and then you must also know that the pass requirement was totally different.
Yeah.
It was much higher than what we are seeing now.
Yes.
You're looking at the
The
30%,
40s now,
and then you pass. You look
Yeah.
at
And
first
what do you know
languages,
at
40
30%?
years. I mean,
And-
70% of the information is gone. You don't know that.
Yes. And
Is
it's
it
cumulative.
30%? 30%?
No, it's actually 40%.
Sure, ek wil nog
All the
sê.
subjects are
Meester,
40, only English is 50. You need to get half, 50%.
Yeah, that is. But
And then with us,
yeah, you mentioned the then and now thing, but that does sound like a good change. Because you must remember, not everything from back in the day was perhaps ideal for us.
Yeah.
So the change from then and now, that seems like a good thing, because continuous assessment means you can pick up an issue much sooner in the game.
yeah,
Then you have to
and
wait
it also
for-
help with anxiety, because if you must
Yeah, you just got that
learn
one
from
big
that to
test.
there,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
But then also, when we had assignments at school,
Yes,
we
we
done
did.
our own assignments.
Yes.
You look at the assignments nowadays, and the
Parents are
parents
doing
get
it.
involved,
That's
and
true.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
spending money,
Very-
whereas
Oh, it is. And I can tell you personally about when the kids get their their scores back, I'm like, what did we get?
You see, and I was just about to say, on report day, the parents would be there first.
Yes.
Why? Because they did
I want
the
to see
work.
my results.
They did the work.
But that's also because you put us in a rock and a hard place.
That's true.
As a parent, Joan, I would tell you, my kids get so much works and complex tasks, and I'm still in the lower grade schools. In the lower grades, like grade 4 and grade 5 and grade 1. So the children need like assistance. And the complexity of some of the projects, because of assessments and because of putting marks, they are quite challenging. And you have to do that.
Assist.
Yes.
Assist.
You do. No, you do have to assist. And then I did have to
assist and not do the work.
That's what I'm saying, assist.
Yeah.
And but there's an evolution that happens with the parent. It's like, am I prepared to let my child submit his own work? I think that's an evolution, because you want your child to submit something praiseworthy.
Valuable.
And so you do probably a lot more than you should. And then you decide at the point, like, you know what, even if this looks funny, it's this child's work, and I have to
yes.
submit it that way.
Can I just come in
Yeah.
there, Leanne? When you do that, because it's your work, so I asked the child, so what is this here?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Because the mom did the work.
Yes.
Do you understand? But if she did the work, she
Yeah.
would be able to answer or tell me what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
You
get a-
know, it's very interesting listening to this, because, if you don't have children in school, for so
Yeah, you
long,
see that-
you're totally
struggle is
out
real.
of the system. You don't really know what is happening, but you observe and you see certain things.
Yeah.
And now that your grandchildren are going to school, and you look at the private schools, and you look at the models, ex-model C schools, and you look at the government schools, there's a vast difference. You can actually
Yeah, it
see
is.
it. You can see the products, as you said earlier.
No,
you know
no,
what
no.
I'm saying?
Can we go there a little?
Yes,
The
that's
product
where I
is
want to
this,
go.
Because they couldn't read. Now their children are struggling. Because how can I help you if I can't read?
Yeah.
And I'm your parent.
Yeah.
Now that's the product that we had. One child, I asked him, so why didn't you do the work? No, my mother didn't understand. Can you see who does the work? The parents. Because, Pastor John, what I meant was this. Our students fail and they're out of school now because they couldn't read. So now they have children.
Yeah.
And those children are in school.
Yeah.
Those children, what help are they going to get because their parents can't read?
Yeah.
That's the system we have there.
Yeah.
And everything in life today, you
parents-
have to read.
It's about reading
about
and
reading.
understanding.
It's very foundational.
Yeah.
But I think different communities and the different
Yeah,
dynamics
absolutely so.
experience different challenges. And I think that there's quite a spectrum of that. So you get very impoverished schools, which I think what can be useful is parental support.
Yes.
Like workshops and maybe some
Yeah.
guidance.
Now, can we go there?
Yeah.
The parents don't support the children. You have a parents' meeting or a function,
Yeah.
they don't come.
Yeah, it's almost like a culture that you have to build in
Build.
the church. I mean, in the school.
I'm not sure if you guys did this, but we're going to issue our reports next week, Thursday.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
So that we can draw the parents for the parents' meeting. Otherwise, they wouldn't come.
Oh yes, you're right. Because I just get emailed the thing.
I just get emailed it. Then.
Yeah, so that is good because it's like a drawing card. It's like you must come so that you can interact with me and the school, and we can have a conversation. And then maybe it'll also give the teacher some insight as to the home dynamic and what's happening.
So, Mr. Petersen, if I must go back to you, being a principal, I mean, you observed a lot of things. And you were in schools. I mean, we were together at school. If you look at then and you look at now and you look at the private schools then, what was this? St. Teresa's and
St. Teresa's, yeah.
St. Catherine's and so on. And you see today, yes, there are still schools that are private schools. And you look at the differences, because you were a principal. So you were a Model C school, right?
That's right.
So what can you say? How can we differentiate between the two or three, if I may put it that way?
The school that I come from was a former Model C school. So you find that the dynamics of the school has changed completely. You had your more affluent learners and parents sending their kids to that type of school. And they had the money to do that also. And later on, when they had changed it, you saw an influx of your more impoverished community sending their learners there. Discipline was a problem. The challenges that we've had was, whereas the former C schools, Model C schools, didn't have the challenge of late coming as such. Late coming was always a problem.
Yes,
but it wasn't
that's right.
that bad.
Right.
Because now you had to take into consideration that kids had to travel to school.
Yeah.
It's taxis, it's buses,
Yes,
and
that's right.
many a times I would find myself standing at the gate and 9 o'clock a taxi rocks up. Oh, sorry, taxi broke down.
Yeah.
What has happened? That child has lost a whole hour of education. And some of them just drag their feet to school. And so when they come and they miss a period every day, it adds up. And at the end of the day, again, we've seen our results drop. And these are some of the factors that contributed towards that.
And there's nothing that you can do about that, right? Or can you actually give them a demerit, or can you actually give a discipline?
Well, schools have a code of conduct, and obviously they address that. But one of the things that a lot of schools tried, whether it's township schools or former Model C schools, at some stage they tried to just close the gates at a certain stage and send the kids home.
Yeah.
But then obviously you had a parent who knew somebody in government and they would
Political
call.
uprising, yeah.
Yes. And tomorrow you would hear how your job is on the line, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a principal.
Oh my word.
They would threaten you, but you are now taking away the right of the child. But education comes with that responsibility of seeing that you're at school early, every day. And that to them was just, it was just not important. So back then, when we were at school, we ran. You rushed, you ran, and when they caught you at the gate, you stood there and you got hiding. And that was the last time that happened. Tomorrow you'll be there early.
Absolutely so.
Whereas nowadays you'll find them coming late day after day after day after day, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
They say you must address it, you talk to them, you show them the code of conduct, you call in the parents, and parents shrug their shoulders. Not all parents, but parents shrug their shoulders and say, well,
it is what it is.
I leave for work at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, so I wake up my child. If the child comes late, there's nothing I can do. But they don't address the issue also.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a
The
problem.
whole school thing has just become
problem.
a lenient thing where we oversee things, we override things.
Yeah.
It's not as disciplined as a machine as it was in the past. Now it's like
This is
Mr. Petersen
severe,
said.
right?
you try and discipline the kids, someone phones the department. The department now overrides you.
Yeah.
And so what does that tell them? Anything can go.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So it's who I know.
it's who
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
It's almost
So-
as if teachers and the education system is set up for failure.
Yeah.
This
Because
is the thing.
they've
That's a
taken
fact.
away your tools,
That's
they've
true.
given you new policies.
That's true.
And they require you to push the same type of results
Yes.
But
within
with
a
the less,
changing.
with like Moses and with less bricks.
Yeah, with less
Yeah.
bricks,
How can
no
you do that?
cement.
You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, so I think that's what causes the. And
There's
the-
just a leniency about this whole thing that bugs you down to your soul, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Whatever you try and do, no, they have a better answer. And it's not for the betterment, it's more to better themselves. Your school will just see how it functions.
Yeah.
They don't care.
So with all that said and done, right, which means there is a need for discipline.
Discipline,
So
accountability.
how do you see it? Somewhere, somehow, I think then that if a child is not disciplined and the parent don't take the responsibility to discipline the child don't care a bit when that child comes to school, because the attitude is now like of a don't care
Okay.
attitude.
Yes.
But
You know what I'm saying?
Can I just jump in there quickly? My father took us to school. He wrote us in, myself and my brother. In his review mirror, we drove home. He said to us, if anyone calls me to that school for something that you did, I am going to crack your skulls. Do you think I did anything wrong?
No.
No.
Your skull is quite intact.
Because I knew at home,
Yeah.
there's someone who's going to crack my skull.
Yeah, or like they used
Now
to say
these
in colored
kids
homes,
these
die
days-
poppe gaan dance.
I don't think there's anyone that they're scared of at home.
Yes.
That's why they can do as they please
That's a fact,
at
right?
school.
That's a fact. Do you think that this is because there are so many single parents that is actually driving careers, right? Do you think that is part of the problem? Because we take into consideration that you find single parents who are working on a daily basis and works overtime, even come home with their computers and are still working. Do you think that is a lack of parenting?
Well, Joan, I think that, to an extent, it does contribute.
Yeah.
But when you think about then and now, and that's what the show to me is all about, then our parents also worked
That's a
day
fact.
and night.
And they had
yet,
a lot of children,
and
right?
yet they made sure when they got home, the work was done, the books were up to date. Nowadays, our parents would just, again, as I said, some of them, not all of them, would shrug their shoulders and say, well, it is what it is. I mean, you find parents taking schools to court. So if that parent wins that case, the hair issue, then you find that the other kids say, oh, well, if he got away with it, then I will get away with something else. If it's not the hairstyle, then it's something else.
uniform.
The dress code, the uniform.
Yes.
Then, I mean, uniform was uniform, and it really is what it said it is. It was uniform. You look at your girls today wearing a grey pants that they make it a designer pants.
Yeah, they tailor it so it's
They
skin
tailor
tight.
it, and yeah.
Oh, real?
And when we were at school, a school pants was a
What's the
school pants. It
You
stayed
couldn't
like
come
that.
with anything
Yeah.
else.
Nowadays, they
a fashion
tailor
statement.
that and they make it a fashion
Yeah,
statement.
you know,
they
I
do.
want to come in on the uniform factor because I have a real P for uniform. Uniform does it the relationship between uniform and children's behavior are very closely connected.
Absolutely.
And it happens. I mean, you can see it
On a Friday,
or on a civics day, especially in high
that's right,
schools.
yeah.
As soon as those
Yeah.
fashionable
Yes.
threads come out, you get the
Yes,
corresponding
yes.
behavior. And I think that's fundamental. And I think that what Minister Gonsalves would have also changed is a greater adherence to uniform. Now, people say, they make these concessions because we can't afford the uniform. But I mean, I think the schools have done quite a lot of concessionary work there where, it's either a white shirt and
And
a
a grey
flannel
pants,
pants,
yeah.
and
Can you see the
And it's not
leniency in everything now?
expensive. It is not expensive.
yes, I mean, and those are widely available in most commercial stores. And so I think the adherence to uniform is quite fundamental to assist with discipline.
Some things should not be compromised.
Yes, but you
That's
do
what
you
it
do
is.
find a lot of leniency at the homes. I wonder if we might go to some of our comments online, Joan, just to
Yeah, I
acknowledge
saw-
some
I
of our
saw quite
people
a
here.
few, yeah.
We have Lucille Smith saying good morning, Denise Petersen saying good morning. That's Mr. Peterson's wife. Nolan Maloney, good morning, pastors and guests. Lyndon Denner, this is one of her changes she would make. She would increase teachers' salaries. But that's what I was mentioning earlier on. Is that
Yeah,
we can't
that's true.
just increase salaries. Let's like create a tiered type of thing. A junior,
Yeah.
this is a junior teacher
Yeah.
salary. You can't have a junior teacher salary and a person who's been working for 40 years. So they definitely have to look at that. Denise Peterson is saying yes, respect. Lucille Smith, taking away corporal punishment was like sparing the rod. Those who spare the rod hate their children, but those who love are
Exactly. I
disciplined.
agree with that.
Yeah. Rhoda Moodley, good morning, pastors and guests. Simone Lazarus, not only parents, but also AI intelligence. Maybe we can pick that up because
especially,
that's
yeah.
a new complexity
Yeah, that
in
is.
this
Yeah,
day and
that
age.
Absolutely.
is. That is.
Clyde Plykes, good
That's
morning.
true.
Bible study, biblical studies must be reinstated. And we did see that because
Yeah.
I think when corporal punishment came out of school, so did prayer.
Yes,
I remember
yes.
distinctly having, prayer time at school. And it was a moment of reverence, and there was, an acknowledgement that there is a presence that we have to adhere to.
So do they still have assemblies?
We
Yes,
do
but
have assembly.
but public schools can't pray, I suppose,
yeah,
because
that-
there are
that's
many
what-
other
Yeah,
religions. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this was as
you need
early
to
as, I think,
cater for everybody.
1996, 1992, prayer came out.
But
And now-
it depends, up until last year, at every assembly at
Yeah.
my school,
Yeah.
we used to open an assembly with prayer.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Even in our morning briefings, we used to pray. When we had meetings with parents and so on,
Yeah.
we used to open with prayer. So it depends entirely also on
Yeah.
what they would allow. But
It's almost what you can get away with
Yes,
as a principle,
yes,
and the
yes,
culture
you
and the
did.
predominant nature of what you see
yeah,
with your
but
students.
prayer has been taken out of schools for a very long time
For a
already.
very long time.
Yes.
Yes.
And you see, like I say, the corresponding result. Roy Skalt's discipline starts at home. Some of what you were mentioning about the single-headed households. A lot of modern parents is not one-to-one with the child. That mindset, unfortunately, flows over to the children. The government has been making teaching very difficult. Simone Lazarus, our teaching style needs to evolve with the times. Lecture still is no longer effective,
That's also true.
particularly in a world where we place higher value on concepts like content. But we did see then and now that there was a need for reformation.
Right.
I remember outcomes-based came and says,
Yes, that's
we
right.
can't just teach these children.
Yeah.
And we also come from a
Outcome-based
previously
education, yeah.
oppressive regime, apartheid, where it lessened the quality of all our schools, Bantu education. You saw that. It
Yeah.
needed to be reformed.
Right.
Leanne, sorry, can I just go back one step?
Yeah.
Remember you said they removed prayer from schools.
Yeah.
Right.
So that basically is they removed God from schools.
Yes.
So who is God? The truth.
Your own truth.
The truth. So they removed truth from the schools, and
Yeah.
this is why you see
No, but I'm saying now you see the
The
emergence
school
of
is in a mess.
identity issues like my own truth. A truth as a standard is no
Yeah,
longer being
definitely,
ministered.
definitely.
you can make your own truth now and say
and
it's
this is
my
what they're
truth.
doing, yes, but we
Yes.
know
Yes.
they removed the truth from the schools. And this is the lie that we see now.
No, it's definitely.
It's just a mess, I promise you. One minister actually said the worst thing that the new government did is they messed up the education system.
Yeah. And then we have Simone Lazarus,
Messed up a lot of
Messed it up, seriously.
According to the World Economic Forum, we need to focus on 5 global competencies, namely thinking skills, research skills, communication, self-management skills, and social skills. I don't know to what extent that is actually being effective now. Maybe Mr. Petersen can weigh in on that. Have we managed to achieve something that is meaningful in the reformation of our school systems? What can we say that Lee's got something right?
I think there's still a lot of spoon feeding going on,
Yeah.
where they don't really think, they don't manage themselves It's a matter of, I've been given this task, I will do this task. But what is the aim of the task? Is the task there to develop me or not?
Yeah.
If not, then it's useless. Why then go ahead and do things like that? So I think that the self-management, we still have a long way to go on that, to teach our children that, to become critical thinkers and to really
Yeah.
see the
Lifelong
world
learners.
for what it is and adapt to it, because at the end of the day, schooling is about preparing you for the future.
Yeah.
It is not about I have to go to school and from grade 1 to grade 12 and then from there I'll see.
Right.
At the end of the day, when you exit the system, the
Yes,
schooling
true.
system, you should become a fully functional member of
Yeah,
society.
Yeah.
You should be able to read, think, and assess situations and deal accordingly with whatever comes up.
Yeah.
And it
That's
doesn't
very-
happen. It
No,
doesn't
it's
happen.
true. And you find when children get to matric now, they are so ill prepared for life.
Yes.
That's why they stay in their parents' homes and they just don't do anything else. Because
They
it's like,
can't do anything.
yeah, because they have to discover themselves
Yourselves
now
first.
at this
They still
mature age.
depend on mom and dad to help out in
And that goes back
situations.
to the thing that I said, you can only fail once in a grade,
Yeah.
in a phase.
Yeah.
Other than that, you need to move on. Why? If you're not capable, you need to stay behind until such time that you can.
Yeah, but I think the government actually they adapt to the
Situation.
situation of
And-
the
and a common
impoverished communities.
Yes,
and,
and-
not everybody in impoverished communities have no skills of
Skills.
learning. You know what I'm saying? You find children who really wants to learn.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, in those
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
situations, children who sits with candles, you know, to study. So you do find, so it depends on the child per se, and then the parents pushing the child, you know, to make a success of their future. Because this is not just for now, this is futuristically, this is your future at hand. You know, so I think if that mentality can change, but you find that children comes as gangsters within the school system.
Yeah.
You find that there are stabbings happening, there are bullying happening, and children are forming cliques. You know, due to the fact that it feels like the teachers and the principals' hands are cut off when there's no discipline. And I think that's the root of everything, to be quite honest, that I
That
can
is the
see
root.
from the outside in. You know, how can we help in a situation where there's no discipline, no respect, no regard for teachers or principals? So how do you get the message over to the government to say, guys, look at the situation? Because I now went to go research, and there are so many stories about ill discipline in schools, disrespect towards teachers. Don't you think that that's the reason why teachers have no passion any longer, no commitment any longer? They're just doing the work because they're
Has to be done.
supposed to
Yeah.
to be there on a daily basis. So I heard about teachers who actually tells the children that, well, it's not my future, it's yours. I'm a teacher. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, I want you to tell me, how can we lift the morale of the teachers? You know, in actual fact, I didn't get to finish the book of Darren August, A Teacher Changed My Life, which I think is an awesome thing. How do you lift the morale of the teacher with children that are so ill-disciplined? How did you get it right, Mr. Peterson?
Yeah,
in
what
your
did you
school?
see? What did you see happening to your teachers with this disempowering policy?
To me, it's a matter of a support system. Really, if you have a support system as a child at home, it also helps the educator. I mean, I sat in the office many a days, and I would get parents come into my office. one of the other things that happened quite often is that there's absent parents, and this child is now taken in by a granny, and the granny now
Yay.
has to take care of this child. And they just run rings around this granny.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the generational gap that they have there.
And everything. But if the support is there, you see that child bloom. That child knows that at home I have the support, at school I have the support. As an educator, you feel empowered if you meet up with parents in a parent meeting, and you find that the parents know exactly where their child is at. And they would, whatever input you give into the life of the child, you see the parent try to assist also.
Yeah.
And you see that child bloom, you see that child grow, and that is definitely the child that becomes something.
Right.
Whereas your dropouts, it's granny was there or granny wasn't there,
Right.
or whatever the case is. And so I done what I wanted to do. I came in at what time, I left at what time, I didn't do work, nothing happened. And so eventually school just had no meaning. And this is where the big dropout rate also happens. Again, coming back to the support. If the support system is there, not just from the school, but also from home, then definitely that child will flourish, the child will grow, and at the end of the day, that child will become a functional member of society.
You know what I'm hearing, Mr. Peterson? That we don't actually have a children problem, we have a parent problem.
That's true.
That's a fact. That's true.
It's like the breakdown
true.
of households and the abdication of responsibility as far as the parent to the child is concerned. That has affected, I think, a child's ability to learn fundamentally. So it's like the parents need to go back to school.
And also,
They skipped
how
a
do
few
you-
phases, Mr.
How,
Chetty.
how do you, as an educator, how do you deal with children that is withdrawn, that is shy, children who actually was brought up in an abusive situation and now don't have the capacity or the
Self-confidence.
the self-confidence just to at least learn.
So can I just
How
go
do you
back
deal
to?
with that?
Can I just go back one step to Mr. Peterson? The support. Back onto the support.
All right,
Let's just say some learner messes up at school.
right.
So you wanna, as the disciplinary committee, so we wanna discipline Clayton, whoever it is.
Yeah.
You don't have the support of the principal. Because they blatantly tell you, if anything goes wrong, you're
Yeah.
on your own. Because you know you can't hit. So how do we discipline Clayton? So that's why the teachers step back and say, well, if you're not going to support me, I can lose my job because of this.
Right,
So
right.
because now as a disciplinary committee, you know, sir, that we need to sort this out because like you said earlier on, if Clayton gets away with it, someone else is going to
Yeah,
try it again.
absolutely so.
So we try and do this, and then you hear, you guys are on your own. If anything happens, you're on your own. So what do? You think of your...
You
step back.
protect your job,
You
yeah.
protect your job. You step back. Laat hulle- Then they'll do
Laat
what they
hulle maar
can.
aangaan.
And also, John, I think what impacts the teacher's ability to respond to what you said, because you expect a teacher to be attentive to an issue because that's their job during those hours. But the
that's right.
teachers are sitting with 40 kids in their classes.
That's
That's
another
exactly
thing.
what I
department
wanted to get
has
at.
overloaded
That's
them.
another thing.
So the 10 minutes that child needs is
Oh.
the 10 minutes the child never gets.
Yes.
Because because the teacher has 40 to assess,
Sure, but
to
it's-
get
Let
the
me-
things out and to move on.
Let
So
me
the
tell you,
strong survive and the
those
weak
learners that
don't.
Pastor Joan are talking about, those learners get noticed by those passionate teachers.
Yeah, okay.
Those who are called.
Okay.
I promise you I've seen it for these 13 years.
Yeah,
They will single you out
yeah.
and say,
And help
Joan,
you. And help you.
can I talk to you please? This is my issue and this is my issue. And they'll side with you. So, and you take them further on. You'll take them through that year and you'll see the different child.
Yeah.
Stronger, more mature, confident. Not to boast or anything, I was at Parkdale Primary. At the end of the year, we had a play. And this one teacher came to me and said, how did you get this right? These children were never, but they were on the stage, they performed. That's what you do.
Yeah, a heart. Mr.
You must
Peterson,
have the
Yeah,
heart for this.
I wanted to get back to what Joan was saying about how do you then support that child as an
Yes,
educator.
Right.
Your primary discipline and your primary education starts at home. We all know that. But now, again, then and now, then our classes were smaller.
Yes, it's a fact.
You had fewer learners to deal with, and they were more disciplined in any case. Come now, you have your 40 in a class, 42 in a class, 45 in a
And don't
class.
forget the diversity as well.
Yes, and now all of a sudden, you see a problem, but there's 10 of the 40 who has a problem. When do you get the time to sit down with them or make the time? You can maybe during a break or whatever before after school speak to one or two of them, but a lot of them fall through the cracks and they just don't get that support. And when they see also, well, nobody's worried about me.
Yeah.
So, it's a hopeless case.
yes.
I give up. Whereas then I know that our teachers is to really spend time and help you and find out this is your challenge, this is how we're going to help you, and you would flourish and go forward.
Guys.
Nowadays, you just don't have the time.
Sure.
You just have to. The curriculum is set, it's measured in periods. And so you have so many periods to complete a certain section of the work. Whether all the kids have grasped the work or not, that's up to them. You have to move on. Otherwise, you fall behind. And tomorrow you have a visit from your Department of Education. They ask for your files. They ask for the books of the children. And the first thing they say, well, the curriculum says you should be at this point. You're not at this point. And so what's happening? So you're a lazy teacher or you haven't been doing your work. But nobody says, what happened to those children that you were helping after school and after hours and trying to get them up to speed? Nothing is said about that. You just have to move at that pace because the curriculum has been set at that pace.
Yeah, and that's a real complexity because you've got these different dynamics that are existing in your class. You have the different socioeconomic
Yes.
situations at home. You have children with different needs. You've got the overloaded class. You've got quite an extensive
quite a
thing
lot,
to
huh?
do. And the department's primary motivation is
Curriculum.
matriculate, get the learners out,
And they concentrate
assess.
more on the matriculants
Yeah.
than they do.
And they
pass
perceive
rate.
that
The
as
pass
their
rate.
outcomes, but their outcomes should be successful learners
If
with
your
understanding.
foundations aren't right,
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do.
It's a klug, ja.
Your foundations need to be set in order.
I wonder if we might talk about the impact of your AIs and your device usage and how we see those things manifest in the
Yeah,
class.
you
Because
see that
then
a
we
lot
had
in the
none of
private
it.
schools, right?
Yeah, then we didn't have any of
Yeah.
it, and now we do. And I mean, there's quite an array of things that can happen.
Yeah.
You have children. I've seen tons of kids recording teachers behaving badly in classes.
right.
You know, there's instant
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
messaging. There's how it affects learners in probably. Yeah. What are you guys seeing in terms of then and now?
Well, there was no cell phones back then. Nowadays, you have to collect all the cell phones. You have to keep them safe. Because in class tests and so on, the phones come out and they just Google everything.
Yes.
And so obviously you can't say now that they've copied from one another. They just copy
Google
from
it.
Google and they Google it.
You
I
do.
mean, as a matric, I know with the matric exams, we had to on a daily basis collect all phones, made sure that all phones were switched off. You had to keep them safe. And like you say, anything that happens at school, whether it's on the playground, wherever
Yeah.
a little scuffle breaks up, out comes the cell phones,
And it gets
it goes
amplified.
viral.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And tomorrow, the whole school is painted with that
Yeah,
brush.
yeah.
Whether good or bad, two
Yes, it's a
friends just had a little tiff, but the way it's
Yeah.
portrayed and gone viral, it's just something else.
It takes a life
So
of its
there
own.
is good and there is bad, because in some learning areas, they want you to help the child, or the child must be able to use technology
Yeah.
and take out that cell phone and do and help himself on the phone also.
Yeah.
So pros and cons to everything.
That is a challenge. One of our commenters, Sonia Forster, teachers should find innovative and creative ways to improve the attendance of of pupils. And then she is the one that mentioned the AI. Now, I mention this because she's actually in a version
UJ,
of
yeah.
education as well at UJ. And so I asked her on another occasion, what are you seeing, or how do you feel about AI? And I mean, she was very excited about the AI, Joan.
definitely she was.
She was enthusiastic about it. And then on a real conversation, I said to her, but in education on a tertiary level, how are you guys going to manage, the fact that anything can be done for you? Papers exist on the internet. How are you navigating that now? Because it's a now problem. That is definitely a now problem. So she says they don't have too many issues with this because they have probably like a monitoring system that each submission is fed through, and this monitoring submission can basically
Pick up if it's plagiarism.
yes, take it or not. But I mean, that's on a tertiary level. And but your learners themselves, they also have the same access to.
Any X.
Yes, I mean Google Translate, for example.
Yeah, because I know
Everything.
there's some exams that is open book exams,
Exams,
right?
yes.
So, and in universities, that is what is happening. You can have an open book exam. And I think with the AI, it's a similar thing. It's just that, I don't know, in our schools today, I don't know whether the township schools
Are not ready
have
yet.
access
They have. Can we just go deeper into that? I was at one school where they actually gave the teachers tablets
Oh, really?
to assist. But the teachers misused it.
How so?
Took the SIM cards out, put it in their phones. Because remember, it's loaded with data. So the one...
They used it, just not in the way that was intended.
That's misuse. That's
I think there was
misuse.
also a lot of sponsorships in some of these schools. A lot of these schools had smart boards and everything that was sponsored to them. So that was a good thing, and that helped a lot also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff you could now portray via somebody else doing a lesson for you.
Yes.
Wow.
And you could learn a lot. I mean, practical subjects, you could now sit back and watch a video on that,
Yeah.
and that would help a child tremendously.
It does.
Sure.
My kids have to learn Lebanese. And it's the first time as a parent that I felt disempowered. Because, I mean, they bring me their Lebanese books. Firstly, the thing opens the wrong way. The children are writing the wrong direction, and I can't read a thing. So what the Lebanese teacher does, she sends links. So I can go on and, watch whatever little teaching thing that I need to know. Yes. And I can imagine that could be quite useful.
Yes.
Because you get links to help and you get links to teach. And so you can see it's a very useful aid if used correctly. But you don't also want that to replace the skill of a teacher.
Yeah.
Helping them
To facilitate
getting the children to a
That's
point of
important.
understanding instead of saying, look at the screen and then the teachers are also sitting like this. Because you can develop very bad habits as a teacher if someone's teaching for you with the use of technology. So how do you guys navigate that now?
And maybe something that we shouldn't have or should say now is that maybe we've been generalizing because not everybody
Yeah,
falls
that's
into
true,
that.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
That's what
Maybe
I said,
some.
so-
the predominant
Let's say
issues.
some.
Yeah.
So in saying AI, I think my community per se,
yeah,
maybe mentally we're not ready for that.
yeah,
In terms of where we're going to store it, who's going to be responsible for that. Because that all has a policy. And if you don't adhere to that policy, you'll be subject to that again.
yeah.
So all this needs to be formulated. Who's going to take care of it? What needs to be done? And this is exactly what happened at the other school. Nobody was in charge. When they collected it, they only collected half of it. Where were the others? They said it was
Yeah,
stolen.
but I think then, Mr. Petersen, don't you think that actually
Our discipline.
is the discipline of the head of the
Head.
school? You know what I'm saying? And you will know that if you are on par or on standard, and you help your teachers, or you have a good attitude towards
Towards
your educators, I
staff.
think that also is
It helps
something.
a
It
lot.
helps a lot.
Absolutely.
Now,
helps a
ma'am,
lot.
now this is what I said. At some schools, you don't get the support. Am I wrong or right? So you
No,
don't
you're right,
get
you're
the
right,
support of
you're
the,
right.
And this is why the teachers are falling into that rut. well, if she's not going to stand up for me, if he's not going to stand up for me, why must I put my life on
Look,
on the line or something?
one of the positives of that, coming and thinking in particular of COVID, was how teachers could prepare little lessons or whatever, created groups, shared links with one another,
Right.
and the teaching could go on. Although the kids were not physically at school, it helped them. A lot of parents came back and says, you know what, this was the best thing that you people have done. You've created this link for this group. And we had groups in all the grades. They had groups in grade 8, groups in grade 9, and they would just share information with one another, and that helped the children a lot. So there was definitely the positive side to it also.
Yeah.
Now, then go back to my community. I'm not sure what your community is, but then when we did it, our parents said, we don't have data. So for them, a loaf of bread is more important than buying data for the child to do that particular lesson.
And that is something
That's-
valid.
it's
It's
a
like
valid point.
we can't upskill our technological reliance to the extent where it disempowers the children who don't have access. And then you find that there can also be a lot of fraud in communities like that, because like you say, there was misuse. So now you've got a teaching aid, but now you found better use for it.
Right.
And then the kids are still not getting any support there. We've got quite a lot of comments. I think
And
teachers...
I like that lady said, Sonia, the
Yeah.
lecturing style
Yeah.
is out. Those kids are so sick of that. And we need to get something else, I
But I
promise
think
you.
that's a good thing to change,
They
to
need a
evolve
change.
in the teaching thing. And I remember
They want to
with-
see something. They don't
Yeah.
want to see you standing there.
Then there was a teacher who actually did maths. Xavier didn't like maths, but at Sir John there was a teacher, an old teacher, teacher that was long in the
Yeah, an
in the
experienced,
profession.
an experienced teacher.
You know what he did? He actually changed the lecture
Yeah.
into a storytelling thing
Yeah.
with maths.
Yeah.
You see, the children
I'm
did
telling you,
well
wow.
with that thing because he made it in a story form.
Yeah.
But today,
Yeah.
why do we have a lot of children struggling with maths and with science and stuff like that? It's because the teachers themselves don't understand how to get to the answer. You know, it's like a teacher say, "Moet jy vir jou laf hou nie," as if a child asks a question. How did you get to that answer? You know what I'm saying?
But
Yeah.
you see, it's important then to do regular upskilling and upgrading of your own qualifications.
Yeah, that's
because
what I was saying.
you
You
can't
need
be entering education in 1983 and in 1993.
You're
You
still
haven't
running
done
on that
anything.
same-
You're still on that
you
same
run on that same degree.
Level.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So you have teachers struggling because they don't upskill, they don't
And they don't
upgrade.
go to workshops, sir.
Yes, because the
The
department
PLGs.
tries. That's one of the other thing is that they really do try to keep teachers in the loop
Abreast, yeah.
and abreast with the latest development and so on.
But Mark, don't you think that this is the reason also that teachers don't know how to do certain things? Okay, they don't go to workshops and stuff like that. Don't you think then that then there were colleges, the teachers' colleges, right, where they were trained, right?
Yes.
I remember there was one just close to us, right? And teachers actually had inspection. You had to actually, before you go into teaching, you had to actually do a lesson to a class, you know, and then there were a few of the inspectors and lecturers
Sitting
who
there
actually
observing.
sat there and observed how you are teaching, and they helped. Don't you think that system then worked than the system now? Or what will you say?
That's the
It definitely did help. Prac teaching was, I mean, you went out on prac teaching not just once a year. You find your varsity students, they do come out to the schools. But the lecturer would come once in that 3-week period and I would sit in one lesson. Whereas with the colleges, you would have your lecturers come out on a daily basis.
Yes. I
And they would
remember
assist.
that.
They
Yeah.
definitely would assist.
Yeah.
And after your lesson, they would call you aside and they would coach you and tell you, this is what you've done wrong, this is right, that is very good. And you would learn so that by the time you entered the profession,
Right.
you were fairly prepared.
Yes.
You were not really, you know what, I had a subject advisor many years ago, and he always said to us, if you enter education, you're not a teacher. Now, people were very upset with him
That's very true.
because we've got this piece of paper that says
You
I'm
a
a qualified teacher.
Yeah.
He always said to us, you're not a teacher yet.
When you leave.
In 5 years' time, talk to me again. Then you were teacher.
Right.
Simply meaning that you're going to experience and learn such a lot of things in that first few years that it will change your whole perspective of teaching. And it was only later that I came to realize that the man was right. You come in, you have the book knowledge and all that, but the practical aspect of it,
The
that was
discipline.
seriously
That's
lacking.
true.
And you would go to colleagues.
That's true.
I was fortunate. Like Leanne said, we had a family of teachers. My brother was teaching at the school, and both of us
Yes.
came from the same
Yes.
school. So whatever I could not do, I could quickly run to him. Although we were in different learning areas, I could go to him, administrative duties and so on. I could quickly pick up and learn from him. And yes, after a while, you could now teach other teachers coming in also and make them then teachers also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I used to work with Winston at the Eldorado Park School.
The blue
He
school,
actually,
I think he was at.
he actually once called me in because there was a problem with this child, and that's where we picked up that these children are staying alone in a house, and the elder boy have to see to his siblings because the mother was in prison, the father was in prison, and the mother was on a.
Yeah, those are very difficult situations. The
so-
child-headed homes.
So there are community services who really want to tap in to help schools, with problematic children. But I
Yeah.
think it's for the principal also to actually reach out to those community services,
Yeah.
Yes.
and
You
ask
should,
for
yeah,
help.
you should have like your Department
Ask
of
for
Social
help.
Development
I was just
on
about to
speed
say
dial,
that.
and you should do
And
like a collective
I know, guys, we actually
at the end. Yeah.
at the end of
should I
our
just go through
show,
the
so if
our
we
last?
can go through that, yeah, and then last comments.
Our commenters have actually been quite prolific.
Oh yeah, thank you.
The world today is not the world which the last generations grew up in. We must adapt, but not every change is necessarily good. That's what Roy Scalzi is saying. Simone Lazarus, honestly, how often do we teach our students to think? Do we equip them with thinking strategies? They need to be independent thinkers, which is what you were saying earlier. We're not really seeing the effectual change of the critical thinking. Sonia Forster, sometimes you find that children with no support are the ones that arise above circumstance. Therefore, it is also really about the inner desire of the child to become better. Margaret O'Lane, the classes are too big. Mr. Petersen, parent problem, no support from parents. Colleen Peters, like I said last week, children, this is also a teacher, children need an intentional and
Value system.
Mr. Petersen taught Colleen Peters. Like I said, children need an intentional value system and a belief system taught at home. Children who have these in place are the ones who are easier to teach. But we definitely see the relationship between the home and what the the teachers are experiencing.
Even in behavior.
And then another, and I do agree with this, with Sonia Forster.
Yeah,
I guess teachers need more support and continuous coaching, team building sessions, and necessary tools in order to strengthen them emotionally and mentally, because they're also going through transitions.
Very
It's like
true.
these kids are very different. They are a different ball game altogether. Margaret O'Lane, at Sonia, teachers need more support from all stakeholders, and that's true, being parents, the department, and perhaps they're in a school community as well. Denise Peterson, maybe you should get one of your education department officials on your show.
I was gonna, but unfortunately they were not available. So they were.
But I think that's a good idea
We must
to
get
speak
them,
on this. Yes, I don't know if he'll be nice or not. We'll
From
have to work
GDE,
that out.
Yeah, you see, there's some of them. I once had someone of GDE,
Yeah.
but they have to actually
Get permission.
get permission.
And
Yeah.
they're going to be
And
very
what they're going to
tight-lipped.
say and what they're going to say.
Yeah, they're going to give us
So,
political
yeah.
correctness.
Yeah,
They're going to be
that's it.
tight-lipped.
Yeah.
That's
They're not
it.
going to give you a lot
Yeah,
of
We need a
information.
retired
Someone
person.
who has no dog in this fight. Yeah.
Hint, hint, wink, wink,
Gonsalves.
Mr. Petersen. Paul Gonsalves, which is my boo. I think most parents are all for tough love and discipline, and then he goes ... until it's your kid. He's not talking about me, just want you to know. And then Roy Skulls, the access to information is so easily available, it makes learners lazy to think. I think we can definitely
true,
see
no?
the community definitely echoes many of the sentiments. And I mean, some things are plain to see, Joan. This is it's like a bit of a pandemic. It's a bit of an issue, a learning issue that we're having in SA. But we must put our best foot forward, and we must be proactive and maybe address the issues so that we can have conversations about how to do better in them. And I think those are actually my closing remarks.
Yeah, and how can we actually change? So closing remarks, Mr. Petersen, Mr.
Mr.
Chetty.
Well, for me, it's education has been around forever, and it will always be around. So we have to keep on work at it. We have to put our best effort into it. And at the end of the day, if we know what is wrong, try and fix those wrongs to rights. And we can just progress and move forward in education. It's no use looking back all the time and crying
Yeah,
about the spilt milk, but we can move forward and we can improve things.
We
And
can.
that's what we need to do. We
Amen.
need to stay positive, and we need to make sure that we improve all the time.
Amen. Mr. Chetty.
For myself, 2014, I was still at the school. There was a girl who passed all her 9 subjects with distinctions.
Shoo.
Then, obviously, by that, they had to interview her. And they asked her, so, how did you get this right? What? She says, no. My dad is so involved in my life.
No, you see.
My dad is so involved in my life. At school, I would do my things, get home. I would do my thing. He would take me to the gym, prep there, get home. He would sit with me, and we'd do our homework. So, in saying that, parents, parents are underestimating their value and their input.
Your support, yeah.
Their support. Because once you sit with your child wants to impress you.
Yeah, it's true.
So parents need to get back to, this is my duty.
Yeah.
This is my, not let the teacher explain it to you. No, you are 90% responsible for that child. So the parents need to take their rightful place again.
Yeah, so there's an appeal for parents out there. So all parents listening to this podcast, please, we are appealing. Get involved in the lives of your children. Don't be a passive parent. Don't be a parent that is just, what did we say last week? Authoritative parenting.
Permissive.
Don't be a parent that is absent in the child's life. Please be present and support your children, and let us get a better product, because it is possible. We can make it if we all work together. Togetherness is the key. So come on now. We are appealing to you. Please get involved in the lives of your children. May God bless you. Until next week, same time, same place. We love you. God loves you best. Go in the peace of the Lord. Mwah.
In the shadow, as I look upon my life, in the shadow, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, in the shadow, there's a passion inside.